Hello, everybody out there in TV land, Facebook, YouTube. Ed Strachar here with Healing Genius and Reading Genius, and we have got a special guest. A guest that I've had on several times before with rave reviews. Luke Halford from England is a crypto master, not just an expert. He's a master. He's a master in trading. He's a master in coaching. And he spends his time when he's not with his grandkids in deep analysis of the historical patterns, tracking what's going to happen. He's smart, and what I like about him most is he's honorable. Okay, I wouldn't have anyone on the show that isn't honorable. He means what he says. He doesn't lie, and keeps his word. So, with that, Luke, welcome to the show. Tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself, Luke.
Yeah, my name's Luke Halford. I'm from the UK, as I've said. I've been involved in crypto now for coming up close to 10 years. So I've seen everything in the market, the scams, the wins. I watched this market go up and down in all different ways. There's lots of opportunity there, and that's what I believe in sharing. There's a lot of scams, so I try and help people avoid the scams and get the wins. And that's my goal, really.
All right, tell us, you mentioned scams, and I've had friends that have lost in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. My heart goes out to them. And a lot of, offshore accounts and things like this, which sound like tax havens, but all of a sudden the money disappears. Give us a hint as to what kind of scams are out there and how to avoid them.
One of the biggest ones you see is somebody asking for you to give them crypto so they can trade it for you, or maybe get a return of 3, 4, 10, 15%. And you can see it when you log into the account. You see your balance, you see how much money you're making, but they're always asking you for more to increase this pool. But eventually they just disappear. So the challenge is not handing that crypto over to a middleman and learning how to take custody of it yourself. So not having it on an exchange or in any third party's hands, because that's why it was invented, to allow you to take custody of it yourself. You may have had the term, not your keys, not your coins. It's out there a lot, but many people don't do that. That's the key to it, really, taking custody of it yourself.
Okay. There's a lot of courses now that I see advertised, and they cost 10 to 20 grand typically, and they teach you how to trade on other exchanges, on the, what do they call it? The, help me here. The base exchange, or before it gets to the public, it goes on what they call a micro exchange. Can you help me there?
I guess you could call it decentralized finance. So an exchange, a centralized exchange, is controlled by somebody. So they've got all the value, a bit like a bank. When you get into the blockchain itself, it's all decentralized, so nobody owns that part of it. So you can buy and exchange tokens on that in that way, in a decentralized way. It's probably the best way to explain it.
Now you mentioned something about, what is it, CBDC, the crypto bank. It's strongly rumored. I mean, it's not just a rumor, it's fact. The US at some point very soon is going to go away from paper money and going to go to digital finance. And you in England have, they're trying to push a digital ID, which is, pay attention, the mark of the beast. Okay, it's encoded with 666, and it's their way to control you. And if you know the Bible and the book of Revelations and the mark of the beast, 666, which the COVID vaccine was one version of, that digital ID is another way to try and put a dog collar on everyone and squeeze and electrify it when they don't like what you're doing. So, and I know a lot of people in England know about this, and they're protesting heavily on it. What's the advantage of digital currency and going into crypto, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, the CBDCs is those that are making the IDs, whoever they are, but they're going to use that to control you in the same way. It's using the crypto technology in a way that it's programmable. So it now makes your money programmable in a way that they can put blocks on it. They can stop you from spending it on certain things. You could have a budget for, you can only travel using this much amount of money, so it's about more control. Whereas
Uh-huh.
the other side of crypto, you can use the technology in a good way. You can use it to avoid all that stuff. And, you can move your value onto the blockchain. And there's many new technologies coming out at the moment to support that. One of the latest ones is called zero knowledge proof, and it's something you'd have to research and have to teach people on it. But it's a new technology to allow people to exchange value on the internet in a new way that's private. So there's a lot of privacy. As much as they're trying to control on the CBDCs, everybody's coming out with new technology to counteract that. So yeah, that's the game.
Yeah, Andrew Tate just came out. I just saw
Exactly
a
that.
flash.
Yeah.
He doesn't do things in a quiet way, but he said, and of course you got to believe, in the U.S. the IRS, your tax collector's there, but they're going to use AI to track every penny you have ever spent and make sure you are paying taxes where you should and so forth. And you got to believe with the power of AI, that wouldn't be too hard for them to do. For someone who has normally, like me, invested in stocks and gold and occasionally bet on sports games, why crypto? I mean, crypto is really volatile. There's no substance behind it. It's really purely paper money, or not even electronic money. Why would you recommend someone invest in crypto as opposed to stocks?
I think it's just the long game. For me, it's always been about the long game. I've been in it 10 years now, and it's all gone up exponentially in that time, but it does take time, and you have to learn to live with the volatility. And it's about timing, take profits at the right time. There's a thing called stable coins. You may have heard of this term. And this is probably one of the biggest use cases on the blockchain at the moment. It's a coin that's pegged to the US dollar. I don't know if you know, like USDC. Right. Trump's bringing one out. USD1 is one he's backing. He's backing that with US treasuries, which is interesting. So he's backing it with debt. So a lot of the value is moving onto the blockchain now. They're going to put the stock market on the blockchain very soon. The technology is there for that now, so that can run 24/7. So it's all going that way anyway. So I think, and then it's navigating that is the key. Where you're going to put your value, where you're going to move it to next, to keep up with inflation. It's kind of what I teach, and that's my goal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you who have just joined us, I'm here with Luke Halford, crypto master, crypto expert from the UK, someone I've had on the show numerous times, with rave reviews from previous clients who've taken his private courses and done consulting with Luke. I've taken his course myself, and I've done private consulting, and I was enamored with his depth of knowledge, sincerity in execution, and follow through. So that's why I've agreed to have him on the show again. And as you know, my expertise is elite healing. We do remote healing. We heal people around the planet, bad knees, bad backs, various diseases. We heal the light body, the soul, the aura, things that your physician who works on the physical body will never, ever see. So I specialize in those cases where the doctor can't find anything, but I feel terrible. Yeah, those are the cases that I handle with ease, and remove ghosts from houses and demons. And I've circumvented all the controls on planet Earth to try and suppress people, and that's why I have the power I do. I also created something called Reading Genius. I've trained many of the fastest readers in the world. And I've demonstrated this at West Point. We documented it and tested at the U.S. Air Force Academy, where we trained many of the fastest readers in the world. And I taught them in one day. When I say fastest, we're talking with superior comprehension, far superior. And the reality is you can't comprehend well unless you go fast. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We'll have a sample healing session at the end, which Luke always enjoys participating in. And that's all in store for this afternoon. So, Luke, give us some examples of crypto wins that you've had in the past 5 years and crypto losses. Give us an idea of what that may look like.
Yeah. I mean, a 10x is very achievable, one cycle to the next cycle, and that usually lasts 4 years. At the moment it's been interrupted, it's taking longer, and it's a lot to do with inflation and things like that, but I think it's going to take 5 years. So I think a 10x is very achievable on a diversified portfolio over a sort of cycle. So, you know, put in 100,000 in, you can turn it into, you know, 1 million.
And have you done that,
Yeah.
if I may ask?
Yeah, more that and more. And also round tripped and left some in too long and missed it. So I played all the games. I've achieved a 10x, you know, way over more than once. I've seen one token go 10,000x, which was crazy. You know, I wish I'd had more money in it, but
yeah. Well, and we all know Bitcoin. Bitcoin used to trade for 1/10 of a penny in 2008, I believe. I mean, you know, you just wish you spent $5 on Bitcoin and you'd have 5,000 of them, which now would be worth over $1 billion. Okay, so by the way, I'm going to talk to my assistant, Honey. Luke has one of these strange UK accents. You know, us Americans perfected the English language, and the British always screw it up. Is there a way we can get CC titles on this so that people can understand his accent? We are using StreamYard, which is unfamiliar to me, and I'd like to see if we can get this transcribed. So let me know, Honey, if that is possible. And Honey is her real name. It's not like I'm calling her a romantic pronoun, for those of you with dirty minds. Okay, so, and Luke is smiling there. Luke, you don't have a dirty mind, do you?
Sometimes.
I won't ask further.
No,
okay, so Luke, is there a way to protect your money better with crypto?
Protect your money, yeah. I mean, you're taking it off the exchanges, getting it onto a cold wallet is the most common protection at the moment, and that gives you complete control over it. Nobody can take it away then.
And when you say a wallet, you're almost talking like a SIM card, right? You're talking about some specialized digital SIM.
Well, technically, it stores the password. So the crypto is always on the blockchain. The passwords give you the access to move it around. So that's okay. It's technically, they could call it a wallet, but really it's just a password manager is technically a way to look at that.
Okay. Have you ever seen, and I know people are going to be thinking about this, where you forgot the password and the password doesn't work? I mean, the challenge is, you know, if my Google password doesn't work, I can go through a bunch of protocols to try and retrieve it. And I can even write Google in customer service. With crypto, you don't have that. Have you ever seen a case where someone's forgotten their password and they lost all their coin?
Yeah, one of my first experiences back in 2015, I lost 4 Bitcoin by not taking it seriously enough at the beginning. Wow. That helped me understand the technology. So, you know, I've been through that process. I had a client recently that we need to retrieve his password because his device broke, and you can reset it easily by putting the password back in, and he forgot where he'd hidden it. But luckily, he come back around and he found it. There was $300,000 worth of crypto as well, so it was lucky that he did. So I have seen this, and it is an important part to be, you know, on top of your security. It's a double-edged sword. You know, you've got this responsibility, so it's great you can take control of your wealth and have it, but you've also got to look after it in the right way as well. So yeah, that part's super important. Gotcha.
So you have your password stored on a special digital SIM card, which they only cost $20 or $30, right? But it's specialized. So you hold your password in that, but if you lose that, you're in trouble. So just like physical money, if you lose it, you're in trouble. If you rip a dollar bill in America, you bring it to the bank and get a new one replaced. But not the case with crypto. What are, besides, you said 10x is quite achievable. What kind of time frame is that? And if I had, say, $1,000 now and I wanted to invest in crypto, where would you suggest I put it? If I wanted to get a 10x, and what would you say is a reasonable time frame for that?
I mean, right at this moment, we're in a dilemma of whether we're still in a bull cycle. I believe we are, but we have there's this thing called altcoin season. That's basically just means Bitcoin is run up, but everything else is not. And everybody's kind of waiting in anticipation whether that's still going to happen. So I put it into altcoins. That means anything but Bitcoin at this moment, because Bitcoin's done its run already. I don't like to say specific coins because it depends on the time and the place when you're getting in. But I would say there's certain narratives that will go up more than others. Real world assets is a very interesting narrative at the minute. AI, obviously, people are investing in that sort of area. I mentioned it recently, the zero knowledge proof technology that's new. There's all kinds of narratives and tokens, you know.
That zero knowledge, is that a coin I can invest in, or are there a series of coins?
There will be a series of coins, yeah, different technologies. One just ran up recently, but I wouldn't go for that now. It's called Zcash because that runs around that technology. But you know, you don't want to go in when the news is hot. That's one thing I've learned. There's always drops. This stuff's always volatile. So for most people, I help them design a portfolio and prepare themselves to get ready to get in. You know, to get that 10x.
When you have that, and I know you run classes. When's your next class? And tell us about what that might look like.
I run the classes usually monthly. Sometimes I do free workshops that last 90 minutes. At the times that we've got a workshop that lasts probably 9 hours altogether over a series of 3 weeks. And that gives you all the knowledge and fundamentals to understand everything about crypto to make the investments.
So when you say every Saturday for 3 weeks, every other day, what when you say 3 weeks, what do you mean?
Thursdays sort of UK time, 7 o'clock we usually run those.
7 o'clock, so 2 p.m. in the US, Eastern time at least, New York time, 2 p.m. Every Thursday, 2 p.m. And those are free, did you say?
There is a free 90-minute one that I run regularly once a month, but the paid workshops are, longer and more intense.
Okay. Do you have a schedule or a link where we can find out more about this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's the website. Shall I put it in the chat?
Yeah, go ahead and put it in the chat.
The main website's got a lot of data on there, and there is an offer for this call anyway for a link on a consultation.
Good. If you out there in TV land have any questions about crypto for Luke or anything else that my expertise covers, feel free to enter in the text chat. In fact, I'd like to ask, who do we have out there in Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and TV land? Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you do. So, Luke, give us an example of perhaps one of your clients that have had some success and maybe someone that hasn't had success. What was the difference?
Yeah, one client, I think it's about having clear targets. One client just wanted a 2x, 2 times the money. That happened very quickly. She did that in 6 months. So we built a portfolio. She was happy when it got to 2x and she just withdrawn. Other clients that have not been successful are aiming for bigger returns, so it takes longer. And really, you're not unsuccessful until you sell. For me, it's about, in this industry, it's about being time in the market, not trying to time it. Sometimes it's like, if you wait long enough, this stuff does go up. And spending time in the market, you can get your 10x, but you're gonna have to wait longer. That's the best way to do it for me. Trading in and out is risky because you just never know when this stuff's going to move. So it's patience. Patience is a big thing with it.
Right.
Yeah.
There was rumors, and there was a big crash when the Russian-Ukrainian war started in early 2022. And it almost seems like, at least in my following, many of the crypto coins that I followed, many have never recovered to their original prices, like Dogecoin, which used to be a very popular one, and so forth. Can you comment on that? Maybe help us understand why?
Yeah, so I mean, it's only opinion. We're all tracking different metrics out there. Nobody knows, exactly how this stuff is going to move. But for me, it seems apparent now it's the business cycle and the printing of money that makes the market go up. And I think they printed so much money last time in COVID that it's just taking longer. They're holding inflation back. They don't want to print money at this stage, but it's getting to the stage where they're going to have to again. And I think that's when we'll see the market start to move. My guess is Q2 next year, we might see it really start to shoot up because there's kind of starting quantitative easing again, which is going to start the money printer. And that's usually when we get the other tokens, the altcoins, such as Dogecoin and all these other ones, move, because we need that parabolic move where everybody's going more risk on. And we've just not seen that yet. So a lot of people have gave up. The 4-year cycle's over because we're not seeing it repeat like it did last time. But, history don't repeat, it just rhymes. But one thing I know for sure is the psychology of people's the same. Once it starts moving, everybody will pile in again. And that's what you've got to wait for. You've got to wait for that parabolic move. Yeah.
Right. And be on the early end of it. Hello, Chris Shannon from Colorado. Chris, tell us what questions you may have for Luke. Chris is a client of both my Healing and Reading Genius products. How many here know anything about Reading Genius? Anyone? Luke, tell us, or maybe I'll share. I invested heavily in crypto in 21, and then it dove with the Russian-Ukrainian war in early 22. And it, for those coins that I invested in, Dogecoin was one of it. It never recovered. I don't know what it's trading at now, but I mean, I bought it at like 48 cents, and it's been hovering around 6 to 10 cents, ever since. Let me see what it is today. And that's 16 cents today. Yeah, I sang it on air. Yeah, man, I lost my shirt on that. Help us. If you were Elon Musk, if Elon Musk was here, what advice would you give him on crypto? What would you tell him to buy?
What's that Elon Musk to buy? I mean, he's big on Dogecoin, so I think it's a good token to have, Dogecoin, in that sense. If you hold it long enough, if you've not sold yet, you'll be fine. I think it's got high enough market cap and following to come back. I mean, I can give you another example. In one cycle, I bought a coin that I paid $2,000 for so many, I think it was a few million tokens. It went down to a value of $9. And I thought, forget it. But when the market come back the second time, that $9 turned into 100,000. Wow. And I cashed out. And I wish I'd bought more when it was $9, but the conviction's not there because you kind of like, no, it's over. So I've seen this all the time, another $90 and I would have had so much more, but it's
the psychology of that, how you kick yourself. If only I would have. Is mind-numbing. Absolutely mind-numbing. Hello, Ron Claremont, Mr. Fisherman. How do we tell if there's fake crypto? What can we do to avoid that?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a broad question. So because there's a lot of scams out there. It depends how you define fake. Some things are outright scams where somebody's going to try and get as many people to buy it as possible. And the smart contract itself is corrupt. It's called a honeypot. So you buy into it but you can't sell it. So they pump the price up and everybody gets excited. When it actually comes to sell it, this is more on the native market, not on the exchanges, you'll find that you can't sell it. The contract doesn't work. So there's some things are outright scams, and there's certain sites you can go to check certain tokens if they're flagged as honeypots, and to check the smart contract. But
what sites would that be?
I'd have to. I'm not got them to hand at the minute. There is a lot out there. I don't use them regularly because I kind of let me find you one. Yeah, I'll have to come back to you on that.
Okay.
I've not got a direct one. There's lots of them out there.
All right. Well, tell us about your courses. You mentioned every Thursday, 7 o'clock UK time. And I see you put the link on crypto-coach.co.uk. For those of you who haven't seen, look in the text chat. You'll see how to learn more about Luke's classes, crypto-coach.co.uk. Are there any key indicators to flag scammers? Another one.
Any key indicators? How would you to flag scammers? It's hard. Crypto can be hard sometimes because it can look. We know the rule. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. But crypto can be too good to be true, and it's good as well. So it can be difficult to distinguish. I just say you need more knowledge. It's not something I can give you a quick answer on. It's more down to an understanding of a bit of how under the hood how it works. Once you get a deeper understanding, you can start to spot it. It's hard to give you kind of a quick answer on that without getting super technical. That makes sense.
Okay. Charlie Barley, howdy. Watch out for the 5 and 10x options trading scams. They never let you get your money out and keep asking you for fees. It sounds like one of those honeypot things that you just mentioned.
Well, that's different. That's a third party that sets up a website, usually in some country we don't know, and they'll get you to send them crypto to invest for you to get you a 5 or 10x. And it's like a trading scam. Yeah, they'll give you a login and it will say you're making 5% a week or 10% a day, and you can see it growing. And then they'll say if you upgrade to silver level or gold level, we're going to get you even more returns. And eventually, this company just disappears with everybody's funds because you've not got the passwords and the keys. You've not got any control. So that's really common. It's just really, yeah, Charlie's right. Yeah, it's a popular scam that a lot of people fall for.
Now, you have private courses, you do private consulting, you have a free 90-minute seminar once a month. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then you have every Thursday paid seminars on a weekly basis. When I took a weekend workshop with you. Do you still do those weekend workshops?
Yeah, it's usually for different groups. If a lot of people are coming from the US, we might do an intense one. Usually it takes about 9 hours to learn the fundamentals. So whatever way that works for an individual. Some people like it fast all at once. Some people like it spread out. So I'm quite open to working with small groups, just helping them learn really on the workshops. And then we also have a mastermind group that's long-term. So it's kind of like long-term support. So there's a call every week. You pay a yearly subscription and you're kind of in a mastermind group where you've got a container where you can continuously learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you comment more about those decentralized masters, the ones who allow you to buy when crypto, when these coins are, you get 100 coins for a penny and they're ridiculously cheap and most of them disappear. But obviously if they take off, you get many X your money. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the key is the centralized exchanges such as Coinbase will only list these tokens once they reach a certain market cap and amount of money's gone in. Occasionally, if you've done your research enough and you understand the market enough, you can spot these tokens before they go on Coinbase. And what you could call it, I've heard it described as the native market. It's like the DeFi, the decentralized part of it. If you pick a token like Solana was there originally, it didn't go straight onto the exchanges. You could pick that up for pennies, and it's now $140, I guess. Now it's on the exchanges. So yeah, it's a way to get an earner, but it is a needle in a haystack situation. So you've got to understand the big picture to know what to pick.
Now, you said do your research. If it was a stock market, you could tell what business the company is in. You could look at their financial statements. You could look at the quality of their board and their executive team. There are things you can study that give you a sense of, hey, is this a solid business or not? Crypto has none of that. So what do you research?
Narratives. So you've got to predict. Take the internet, for example. Like nobody could have predicted social media, but it took off like crazy. So then you've got Zoom recordings and the Zoom and things like that. So you've got to kind of predict what's going to be useful next. So take what I just mentioned, the zero technology, or you've got different narratives. You've got real world assets. So if you can anticipate what's up and coming in that story and find the best tokens in that range, then you can sometimes hit a big winner. But you've got to learn what's going to be useful, and you've got to anticipate what's going to be useful. So it's a different kind of research and different sort of thought process. Maybe a different paradigm really to the stock market.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like a roulette wheel to me. Do your research on the numbers. Well, each number has a supposed equal chance to get the pinball on it. But there's nothing behind this but hype, right? Or is there more than just hype?
No, there's more than just hype. I can pick a few out. For example, take Chainlink. Pretty popular, high market cap one. That's probably going to be used to put the stock market on the internet. The stock market on the blockchain. And they probably like to use that. And those are the ones that that the infrastructure is going to be used. It's a bit like being in the early days of the internet. Again, I keep using that analogy, but your HTTPS was eventually a protocol that got adopted, or different things like that get adopted along the way. So it's anticipating that and seeing what's out there and what's being used as well. And starting to slowly build a portfolio, it's about taking your time and yeah.
Okay. Charlie Barley, one of our longtime fans. Hi, Charlie. Did you bring your guitar, Charlie? He's asking, have you ever seen any success with those trading bots? People who say they got these specialized AI trading bots and they can get you 5 or 10% a month and something like this. What's your opinion of those and what have you seen?
Personally, I stay away from any kind of day trading. I guess bots can help assist that, but it is a skill and you have got to spend a lot of time on it. It can become a job. And if you look at any trading sites, they'll always say 98% of people are likely to lose. So personally, I like the long game. I stay away from that. But having said that, there is another area in DeFi where it's getting more and more lucrative to be able to lock value up in what's called a smart contract and gain a yield or an interest rate. I do know a guy who specializes in that and I'm learning off him. And you can get returns of like 5% a month, but you need a decent amount to put in. So that eventually that's decentralized finance. So it's like traditional finance where you can make a return, but you do it in a decentralized way. Another area that's great I'm learning about.
Gotcha. Ron Claremont asks, Ron, how many fish have you caught this year? Curiously, please put that in. And what kind of fish? How big? He's asking, how does crypto mining affect the market, or does it even?
Well, I mean, traditional mining like Bitcoin is done what's called proof of work, where you burn electricity to generate Bitcoin out of thin air, basically. And I guess that's not great for the environment. So does it affect the market? I mean, the way that affects the market is as they generate Bitcoin, they are going to sell it because it's a business. So the market at the moment, you'll have a mining business that's got huge warehouses full of computers and graphics cards burning this electricity to produce Bitcoin. When they produce the Bitcoin, they've still got to make a profit versus electricity. So I guess you could say when they sell that Bitcoin, it does bring the price, it affects the price, is the best way I could explain it. What comes to mind anyway.
I don't understand. When you said mining and they have all these graphics cards and supercomputers in the warehouse, Bitcoin is just, it's just this created coin that now they have a finite amount, right? They're no longer producing them, correct?
No, there'll be 21 million eventually. They're not all been produced yet, but the rest of them will come out in the next 100 years. It's going to take approximately about 100 years to mine them all. Yeah.
Oh, how many have already been mined?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I think it's something like 18 million. And many have been lost as well because people have lost the keys along the way. So there's a lot of them been lost. Yeah,
including your 4. How many have they found Luke's wallet with those 4 Bitcoins, which today would be worth about 400,000 plus? How many would return it to Luke? I want to see honest here. How many? Okay, you open that up, you put it in your computer, and you saw 4 Bitcoins. Okay, and there was a sign that said these belong to Luke Halford. How many would return it to Luke? I want to see. Give us a show of hands. All right, say I would in the text chat.
I've got to say, better than the guy. There's a guy in the UK who lost 150,000 Bitcoin. He left it on a laptop, and the laptop went to the refuge, the dump. He's been protesting ever since to try and get in the dump to dig it up and find it, but nobody's ever found it as yet. I mean, I think it's worth $1 billion now or something like that. $1 billion.
Well, 150,000 Bitcoins.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Well, I can do that math. No, that's $15 billion at 100,000 per Bitcoin.
It must have been more than that. Yeah, last time I checked, it was $1 billion worth. So maybe it was more than. I can't remember exactly how much he had, but yeah, it was a lot.
RBW Creation says they would return it. Chris Shannon says they would return it. Matthias Cartanian says some of it he'd return. How much of it is what I want to know, Matthias, because I want to know what kind of discount I give you on my product. So I got to see how much you would return to. So look, let's face it. Bitcoin and crypto is new in the last 15, 20 years. I had a healing client, pay me in Bitcoin. And at the time, Bitcoin was like about 3,000 or 4,000. And I sold it he paid me, 3,000 or 4,000. I sold it when it hit 10. And man, I bought one of those. I don't know if you've seen these, Luke, but these shoulder harness self-kicking devices where you have a rope and you pull it, the boot kicks you in the ass. Because I sold that Bitcoin at 10K. And I thought, geez, it did 10K. It's never going to go higher. We better sell it now before it crashes. Well, that's why I'm a healer and not a financial coach. Matthias said he'd probably keep one Bitcoin. All right. So we know Matthias doesn't get any discounts because he's going to keep one Bitcoin. Learning anything is required in these days. I mean, look at what happened with AI. And I was explaining to somebody in the video industry how digital editing, when it came on in the 90s, was just as revolutionary as AI now. Because digital editing, until that time, when they would edit videos, they would literally splice tape with a knife or scissors, or they have a special machine. They'd piece together tape with Scotch tape, and editing took hours, days, and weeks, and what now could be done in a few minutes. And that was revolutionary. And the fact that you could put transitions, you could put funny transitions, and you see now on social media, you see 15-year-old kids with cell phones doing incredible video edits and special effects. All that's built in. Well, back in the 90s, none of that was possible. So learning something new is always going to be possible. I've got the ultimate learning course, which is Reading Genius. Now, Reading Genius came out in the 90s. I trained many of the fastest readers in the world. I went around and taught and gave seminars and at corporations and sometimes public. There was no internet. For the most part, we had personal computers, but they weren't that potent. They weren't that powerful, and the screens were big. And the laptops were still big by today's comparison, and they were not near as capable. You didn't have animations and things like that like you do today. Didn't matter. We used a variety of books. Now, and I'll tell a story here, Luke. I had a lady, and she was in Seattle. I live in Florida. She says, I'd love for my boys to learn your Reading Genius program. And at the time, I was in between programs. Reading Genius 2.0 ended in 2010. And so I said, well, I really have nothing to do it, but what I can do, and what I do when I train people in Healing Genius, is I download energetically into their soul these abilities. So I said, if you want, I'll download into the boys. And they were sleeping. And the older boy was about 10 years old. The younger one was about 8. I downloaded it, and she comes back to me a week later. She goes, my older boy, he hasn't stopped reading since. He's just reading and reading and reading. Well, most people don't know. Most people are programmed to think that you have to sit in a classroom and there's got to be some teacher there. Not always the funniest, not always most entertaining, not always the best teacher. And you got to sit there with this lecture and follow the notes and sit in a chair, which oftentimes is not the ideal way most of us learn. We learn interactively with our whole body moving typically. And now those of you who know and have attended my seminars, we can download this. And Luke, if it's okay with you, I'm going to show them what Reading Genius looks like.
Sounds good.
And Luke, you've seen Reading Genius 2.0. Let's look at Reading Genius 3. So, Luke, this is in the UK. This is a bunch of 8th graders, and they're reading like that. They can stand up and tell you what they read, and they learn that in a few hours, like 2 or 3 hours, I taught them. That is faster than the Guinness Book of World Records. Trained them in one day, and they could stand up and tell you what they read. The colonel that was monitoring the course could not believe it. No sound? Are we not getting any sound? I thought we had that fixed. No sound. Okay. We got to do that again. Okay, here we go. Tell me if you got sound.
Never before shown on television, these are actual students using the Reading Genius method. In just a few short hours, they learn to read, remember, and comprehend far better and faster than ever seen before.
Do you have sound now?
Yep, you've got sound.
It's the planet's most powerful reading system, created by its inventor, Ed Strachar.
And I know what you're thinking. Luke, I haven't changed a bit, right? If you see me 30 years ago and now, you can't even tell the difference.
Ed's background originates as a scientist, inventing a computer chip that was used in aerospace by the US, NATO, and even NASA. He studied chess with the grandmasters in the former Soviet Union. Chess, just like reading, is a purely mental activity. Ed has taught Reading Genius at major corporations and has been invited and proudly served as a guest instructor at such prestigious schools as West Point and the U.S. Air Force Academy, where it's documented that students reported reading in excess of 40 pages per minute with good comprehension. Ed has appeared on radio and TV many times and in many countries.
Kind of like driving a car at 100 miles an hour versus driving a car at 10 miles an hour. At 100 miles an hour, you're more attentive, more focused, probably remember it better, and most people are more excited. And at 10 miles an hour, just daydream.
Thousands around the globe, people of all ages, from Europe to Asia and Australia, have successfully learned this incredible method.
My name's Josephine Griffith, and I'm a manager in the health and safety area. I found it really exciting, and now I don't have any limitations on my mind. I just wish it was available to everybody to do.
Normally you get something like, okay, I read a book and daydreaming along, but now you're so focused because you don't have time to think of anything else that the book will give you more than ever before.
I have found ways to get rid of those negative voices, and Ed's positive reinforcement and reteaching some of the basic concepts really helped a lot. So I got to the point now where I was reading about 25 pages per minute.
25 pages a minute means a 250-page book is 10 minutes. Now, you take about 5 to 10 minutes to prepare for that, but if you notice what he said and what we do in this course, he got rid of those negative voices, those skeptical voices. Matthias, you know what he's talking about? The ones that say, bullshit, this doesn't work, I can't, or no way I can do that, and so forth. That's how people block themselves. And most people have those voices inside. And they get installed through past failures. They get installed by TV. They get installed by all the limiting voices, whether they be parents, teachers, or colleagues around you. And getting rid of those negative voices, one of the genius aspects that we employ in this course to train people to go past their blocks.
25 pages per minute.
I'm reading Pride and Prejudice, which is a bit old-fashioned, some of the words. And when I usually read books like that, I seem to stumble and I get a bit bored because it's not quite my language, but it's much easier to enjoy now.
You had to turn on your brain power to where you use the other 90 or 95%. I'm going to show you how to turn that on.
I thought it seemed like as though there was a part of my brain that hadn't been exercised for a long time, and that something happened to make that part of my brain function. I also discovered that I was completely cured of my daydreaming, which has been one of my problems lately, to be reading something and then daydream and kind of forget what you've read.
This is your eyes.
How many notice? You read and you forget what you read. You forget what you read. Here's what I say about your eyes. How many notice your eyes get tired? Take a look.
Naturally see a big picture. You look out a window, you see the whole picture, don't you? Anyone here ever take a speed reading course? Right, how many here ever take a speed reading? You know how you learn to do this across a page? Let me ask you this. When you look out the window, if you go like this, do you understand it better? Unnatural process.
Generations beyond speed reading. Nothing more powerful on the planet. You can finish a book over lunch and have time to eat. Yeah, and understand and remember it better. Why? Look, I want you to imagine if I gave you a Ferrari and I said, here's the keys to a new Ferrari, favorite color, leather inside, everything. And then I said, you can only drive 10 miles an hour on the highway. You drive it, you get bored, your mind would drift off. You may not even finish the drive, right? Then I said, go as fast as you want. Okay, so now you're going 150 miles an hour or better. And it's exciting, it's thrilling. You're utilizing the full capacity of that brilliant machine, and you enjoy it more, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, the way people read, they got this incredible power here, more power than 100 supercomputers. It's been said, brain has. And they've been trained to read one word at a time by supposedly skilled teachers who haven't changed the way they teach in 500 years, literally. I don't call them skilled, I call them idiots. Idiots just follow the same thing the previous idiot did, and they don't improvise, they don't invent. And so you have this brilliant power, more power than a Ferrari, certainly, and you're only allowed to read one word at a time. Well, with the Reading Genius system, you unlock that brilliant power within you, and you can go as fast as you want. And we break the habit of reading one word, so your eyes just sweep across and down the page. And how fast they sweep across and down the page, it's just a matter of how relaxed and how focused you are. Simple as that. And one of the instructions, Luke, that you have when you do the Reading Genius system is if you find yourself thinking of something else, you're not going fast enough. Okay? Because if you have time to think of something else, you're not going fast enough. Mario Andretti said something very similar with driving race cars. If you have time to daydream, you're not going fast enough. Okay? So back to crypto. We are here with Luke Halford from the UK, crypto master, crypto expert. Luke has a website that is crypto-coach.uk.co.uk. Could we put that in the text chat again, please? Danica? Matthias, why are some people afraid of unleashing that full power? Well, fear, Matthias, is really the bigger question. Why are people so afraid of doing anything that's outside the norm? Most people are afraid of failing. Okay, and you look at Luke here, he's talking about money and crypto. Okay, crypto is a form of money, but there's risk. There's risk. You go to a roulette table, you go to a stock market, you go to a crypto market, there's risk. He lost the equivalent now, and he admitted earlier, 4 Bitcoins, which is worth now somewhere around over $400,000. It didn't stop him. There's always going to be failure. There's always, if you worry about fear, if you worry about failure, you'll never do anything. Okay, so you have to play the game, and playing the game doesn't mean you bat 1,000. Playing the game doesn't mean you always win. Though there's some idiot parents and schools out there that give everyone a medal just for participating. I totally disagree with that. You know, if someone isn't that good, well, they got to learn to get better. You don't just get a medal just for participating. You know, you're terrible. that kind of philosophy just averages out the society, and it mediocritizes the winners. And the winners are what win, and that's what makes things spectacular. You watch Michael Jordan and you're in awe. You don't watch Harvey Finkelstein, shoot 3 out of 10, get in, and he can't dunk. That's not exciting. Okay, so, winning is what it's about. Winning takes work. And winning in anything takes a lot of failure. You have to endure a lot of failure, all right? The amount of failure I endured creating Reading Genius, the amount of schools I went in, that one school saw that I was playing rock music, right? I just brought some current CDs that I had just when the kids would do exercise, I'd play some music to it. Oh, well, rock and roll was the devil, and they confiscated my CDs and kicked me out right in the middle of class. Yeah, I had to face up to that. One teacher, Luke, I'll tell you this. You want to talk about stupidity in schools? I brought it to a private school, and this was a progressive school. And the principal had a son in the 8th grade, and he invited me in to do a demonstration class with the 8th grade with his son in, who had reading problems. And by the end, it was a 3-hour class. The boy goes, geez, when you read faster, you get so much more focused. You understand it better. It's really exciting. And his father's like turning white, and he can't believe his son said that. And that's what it is. You're going fast, and it's intense, and you're more focused. Well, his father called me in, the principal. He says, Ed, great class. Thank you for demonstrating. Really learned a lot. But there's no way we can take this class into our school. I said, why not? He says, Ed, I got a budget of 10 books per year per kid. With your class, they'll finish that in the first month. What do I do in the second month? He goes, I know what you would say, Ed. Give them the 9th grade books. Ed, what do I do when they get to the 9th grade? This is what's out there. And he was far more progressive than most. He wasn't ready for these results. And you see, it's not about completing the assignments. It's about indoctrination. The word graduate is a combination of 2 words, gradually indoctrinate. So after 12 years, even if they pass all the tests and everything, and they complete the work by 14 years old, no, they still want you to do the 12 years. That's what he was saying. We still, even if they read and pass the 9th grade, we still have to have them go through 9th grade, just leave school and go get on with their lives. Well, that's what's out there. So, folks, the chance you have to learn from masters like Luke in crypto, the chance you have to build your skills like Reading Genius. And by the way, let me give you, for those of you who want to learn more about Reading Genius, here's a link to a free lesson. Go take the free lesson. The link is in the text chat. 10 minutes, and just watch what happens when your brain power turns on. Watch what happens when you learn to expand your vision. Something they never taught you in reading class. So when you can learn from masters like Luke in crypto, and you can accelerate, the bank is never going to teach you this. Bank is there to take your money. It's to hold your money and take it. And all that fine print that you agree to when you put your money in the bank means they have every right to do anything they want, and you can do nothing. Nothing. The bank owns the U.S. government. It's called the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is not federal. It's privately owned, and they loan money to the government at interest. Where do they get that money? They type it up and print it. Okay, so this is far bigger and wilder than you could ever imagine. So understanding how we can use crypto to expand our horizons, the old days of taking your money and, saving a few pennies a week and building up what my mother taught me, God bless her, and now she's on the other side, that's not going to work anymore. You've got to learn where this money is going to be accelerating and growing and compounding, and you got to learn where it's going to get confiscated. You better learn that. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. Luke, tell us, give us some more examples of what people should do if they've never invested in crypto before. What's a great way to start?
Yeah, it's always education. Exactly what you're saying. You've got to learn. You've got to learn. You've got to, yeah, it's as simple as that, really. I go in education before anything. Can you hear me okay? Is it sound? I've got some feedback.
Okay, education. Give us a pathway to education. Crypto-coach-co.uk. There's one. They got your free courses and some paid classes as well. Correct?
Yeah, we've got consultation for one-on-one as well. I do one-on-one work with people if they're looking to in all areas of consulting.
And how would they tap into one of your one-on-one consultations?
Yeah, there's another form. I'll drop the link actually now. It's usually $250, but we're doing it for $25 for a limited amount of people. To apply, you just fill in the form and.
Well, that's extremely generous. So you mean normally a consultation with you is $250, but you're going to be doing it as an intro for $25?
25, yeah, limited time thing. But I just want to help as many people as possible.
Folks,
yeah.
If I were you, I would take advantage of that. $25, get a consultation. How long is a consultation typically, Luke?
Probably 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay. So you're really going to spend time with them, see what they know, see what they don't know, and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. Yeah, a great place to start to see if it's right for you and just to explore, what in different areas. I've dropped the link in the, I think I have a private chat. I don't know if you can drop it into the comments.
Okay. You're going to send it to me on Telegram or where?
I've just dropped it in the studio chat. I can drop it in Telegram as well if that's good.
Okay, so we're going to put a link. I see it. We're going to put a link here. You want a $25 consult with Luke. There it is. That's a long link. I wouldn't even leadconnectorhq.com. Okay, that's a form. So get a consultation with Luke. Cost you $25. He'll assess where you are, where you're not, and where you might need help and what you can do about it. Luke, that's extremely generous. And I assume when you do that consultation, if they wanted to go into one of your seminars or something, you would let them know how to from there, correct?
Yeah, sure, yeah. We'll just explore all the options, what's best for them, really. So it's really personalized. Yeah.
Wonderful. Any questions before we conclude here with Master Luke, the Crypto Master from the UK, Luke Halford? Any questions? You are welcome, Matthias. And I don't want to hurt your last name, a big, long Finnish name, but you're more than welcome. Thank you, Ron Claremont. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Charlie Barley. And Luke, I want to thank you for coming on to our show here today. Thank you for informing us about crypto, about your 10x and 100,000x stories, and the negative side too. Don't ever think that this is all positive. No, it never is. Thank you, Chris Shannon, for coming. Thank you for testifying, Chris Shannon, about your success with the Reading Genius system. And for those of you who want a free lesson with Reading Genius, the link is in the text chat. Danica, would you put that in as well, please? It's readinggenius.com/free lesson. Go to readinggenius.com. You'll see the link. Okay, folks, thank you so much for coming. Oh, and I promised a brief healing session, right? But a lot of people don't believe this energy can be transmitted over the internet. And a lot of people may not, because they're coming here for crypto and so forth, and they don't want to feel the energy. So I'm only going to do this if I get at least 10 yeses in the text chat, and it's got to say healing yes. I need 10 of them from 10 unique people. And then we'll do a brief healing session here right over the internet, over Zoom, over StreamYard, over YouTube, over Facebook. And you can feel higher dimensional energy. Healing, yes, that's one. One isn't enough. Need to see 10. Because if someone's not willing to at least type in healing, yes, then I'm not willing to exercise that connection to higher dimensions past the frequency fence. And for those of you who don't know what the frequency fence is, boy, have you got a lot in store for you when you understand that they put a fence preventing people from accessing higher dimensions of energy. The religious people have no clue about this. Not a clue. This is why all your pastors, priests, and nuns couldn't heal even a sick bird, but they can quote the Bible left and right. You ever notice that? They can quote the Bible left and right, but they couldn't heal a sick bird. Joel Osteen couldn't heal a sick bird. Deepak Chopra couldn't heal a sick bird. Why? The Pope couldn't heal a sick bird. Neither could the Dalai Lama. Why is that? There is a specific reason for that. And you better understand why if you're on planet Earth. All right. Do we have 10? Mark Mooney has to say healing, yes. Oh, Sari Valentino. Finally, she shows her cute little face there and says healing, yes. Nice to see you here, Sally. Richard Wallace, another guy playing hooky. Manifest Abundance. Okay. Do we have 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, we only got 8. Some people said yes. That ain't going to cut it. Mark Mooney, healing yes, or we don't do it. You got 15 more seconds. Okay, folks. Are we going to get it or not? Nope. People don't want to type in healing yes. Okay. No, healing yes. RBW, it's got to say yes for healing. Pay attention. Yeah. You know what? Luke, they say, oh, you can't be much of a healer. You scream at people. You yell at people. You're offensive. Yeah, because they're used to these soft, flaky healers with no power that talk softly and turn the other cheek. I don't turn the other cheek. Neither does John Rambo. Blow their fucking head off. Because healers come in 2 archetypes. One is a priest. They turn the other cheek. They don't have much power, but they talk softly. The other is a warrior. Warriors risk their lives. They go straight into the fire. They confront the demons. They confront the sorcerers. They confront the witches, and they win. That's what warriors do, and they don't talk softly. So the people who say, oh, you don't sound like much of a healer. Okay, well, you don't really understand what healing is and what removing this darkness is. Well, what do you know? We got 10. How about that? Oh, Mark Mooney, you could type healing yes. Congratulations, Mark. Okay, so here's what we do. On a count to 5, just get my music set up here. On a count to 5, you're going to breathe in and feel your love, feel your heartbeat. Close your eyes and just allow yourself to go empty. Literally empty your mind. I'll turn my camera up just so you don't try to keep your eyes open and say, what's he doing? No, you want to be empty and still and just feel your heartbeat. After 5 or 6 heartbeats or more, depending on how capable you are, you blow or exhale through your mouth very slowly. Simple as that. Okay. You ready? On 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Breathe in. Group mind is on 4%. That's not 0.
The sound frequency Hu is the sound frequency of the source. The word human derived from the sound Hu and means that we are all part of the cosmic awareness. We are
all part of the cosmic awareness. The sound Hu. Yes. Pay attention. Now allow yourself to go in that peaceful state with your mind empty. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So if you want to turn off that gong, if you want to put in the text chat what you felt and share, feel free. Who knows why the churches have those big bells and why I have one? Anyone know? Do you know, Luke?
Frequency. It's greater frequency.
Well, yeah, and they have some effect of removing dark forces. Not completely, but they have some effect of that. Demons in particular. Who felt what in the audience? Sari, I want to hear from you. Mark Mooney, I want to hear from you. RBW, let's talk. What did you feel? Stillness, some pressure in head. Well, each body moves according to what it needs. Simple as that. The healing frequencies. Thank you, Richard Wallace. Nice to see you again. Richard, I'm training healers at 3 p.m. today. If you want to sit and join in, you're more than welcome. Richard's one of my healing students, and he does fireplaces and woodworking in Rochester, New York. Who else felt what? Feel free to share. All right. Luke, I want to thank you again for coming on. The website from Luke, crypto-coach.co.uk, and more importantly, the big link, let me put it out there again. If you want a $25 consultation, normally he charges $250. A $25 consultation with Luke, there it is in the text chat. Now, he's only got limited time. That's limited, clearly. Okay, you music. Thank you, Warrior. Middle of my back, something got ripped off. And then I heard a woman's voice grunt. Second pop spine corrections. Thanks, man. Okay. Mark Mooney, resonates frequency. I have a knee injury and feel a lightness in that area. Mark, I have a book called The Knee Whisperer coming out soon. I specialize on healing knees over the internet. The NFL, they still can't believe it. A lot of these pro sports athletes, they can't believe it, but you're going to see a lot more of that soon. Correct, Matthias. There's no right or wrong experience. Okay, folks, wonderful to connect with you. Luke, thanks again. Look forward to seeing you again later in the year, and much love to everybody out there. I'm Ed Strachar, creator of Healing Genius and Reading Genius. And last thing, if you want a free lesson with the Reading Genius 3.0 system, I've trained many of the best and fastest readers in the world. Danica, would you be so kind to put that link on there? readinggenius.com/free lesson. Folks, thank you so much. Much love to everybody there. Take care.
Thanks.